Want to know why so many people sabotage their own chances of success? They make one fatal mistake, overshadowing those at the top. It seems obvious, but that's exactly where many stumble. Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power, makes it clear: never outshine the master. It may feel counterintuitive, but mastering this law can be the difference between rising up or being taken down. Want to understand how this works and secure your advantage? Pay close attention, because what comes next might just change everything. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen someone lose everything because they tried to stand out too much? Or maybe it's happened to you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with this idea of never outshining the master? Or do you think it's overrated? I'll be reading and replying to the most interesting ones. Often, the biggest mistake we make in seeking recognition or climbing the ladder is overestimating our abilities, while forgetting a crucial principle: power is never a solo act. Since ancient times, history has been full of talented individuals who, despite their brilliance, were eclipsed, isolated, or even destroyed by one fatal error: underestimating the ego and position of those above them. Robert Greene defines this as the first law of power: never outshine the master. And here's the harsh truth: no matter how competent, talented, or visionary you are, if you ignore this law, you're digging your own grave intuitively. We think competence is what defines success. If I'm the most creative, efficient, or intelligent, then I'll be rewarded for it, right? Wrong. The flaw in this logic lies in the fact that people in superior positions don't always act purely rationally. They're not just bosses, leaders, or mentors. They're human beings with egos often as large as their achievements. When someone steps in to steal the spotlight, or worse, challenges their authority, their instinct for survival and self-preservation kicks in. It's a dynamic that transcends logic and merit. A classic example of this trap comes from the history of King Louis XIV of France and his finance minister, Nicolas Fouquet. Fouquet was an extraordinarily skilled man, a brilliant financier, and highly charismatic. He believed his talent and loyalty would secure his place at court. But his downfall began the day he decided to throw an extravagant party in honor of the king. His goal: to impress Louis XIV and solidify his position. Instead, the result was the exact opposite. The grandeur of the celebration made the king feel overshadowed by Fouquet's display. The outcome: the minister was imprisoned and spent the rest of his life in exile. This example highlights something crucial. Overshadowing the master isn't just about shining too brightly. It's often a mistake made out of carelessness, naivety, or the belief that trying to impress will be seen as a positive gesture. But in reality, the opposite often happens. When you do something that highlights your superiority over those above, you even unintentionally, it creates discomfort. That discomfort might be subtle, but it's enough to plant the seeds of insecurity and distrust in the heart of whoever holds the power. But why exactly does this happen? Why do people in positions of power react so defensively? The answer lies in human psychology. The ego is a powerful and often irrational force. For those at the top, maintaining control and the respect of their subordinates is a matter of survival. If a subordinate starts to shine too brightly, it can be perceived as a threat, even if, in reality, it's not. The fear of being overtaken, replaced, or disrespected turns someone else's brilliance into something intolerable. And when that happens, the master's instinct will be to eliminate the threat before it grows. Another example worth mentioning comes from the history of Caesar and Pompey in ancient Rome. Pompey was one of the most revered and influential generals of his time. But his alliance with Caesar began to unravel as Caesar gained increasing notoriety and popular support. Although Caesar knew that surpassing Pompey in popularity was risky, he also understood that he shouldn't directly challenge Pompey until he was absolutely prepared for the confrontation. Unlike Fouquet, Caesar played the power game with patience and strategy, avoiding overshadowing his master until he had the strength to face the consequences. The result was victory, but only because Caesar knew when and how to act, something Fouquet, unfortunately, did not grasp. When analyzing these historical examples, an inevitable question arises. How can we avoid falling into this trap? The answer starts with a deep understanding of the dynamics of power around you. Before taking action, you must understand how each move will be perceived. Intentions don't always matter. What truly counts is how your actions are interpreted. Recognizing your master's ego and insecurities isn't just a strategy, it's an essential skill for navigating power dynamics wisely. At the same time, avoiding overshadowing the master doesn't mean hiding or suppressing your talent. It's about learning how to showcase your skills in a way that benefits those at the top. When your actions are seen as something that strengthens rather than threatens, you create alliances and position yourself as indispensable, not a potential rival. And here's the most important point. Ignoring this law doesn't just limit your chances of advancement. It can also lead to your ultimate downfall. People who have tried to defy this dynamic, whether out of ignorance or arrogance, have inevitably paid the price. After all, power is a subtle game where every move must be carefully calculated. Now that we understand the danger of overshadowing the master, the next step is figuring out how to position ourselves, intelligently avoiding threats to those above us while still showcasing our talents and growing. That's the essence of the first law of power. It's not about dimming your light, but learning to direct it in a way that strengthens those at the top rather than challenging them. Many people misinterpret this law, thinking it means complete submission, suppressing ambitions, or abandoning individuality. Nothing could be further from the truth. Following this rule is, in fact, a strategic act. It's about reading the room, understanding the ego of those in power, and finding ways to thrive without creating resistance or mistrust. Below, we'll explore a few practical strategies to put this into action. 1. Make the master feel bigger. The master's ego is undoubtedly the most sensitive part of this dynamic. Once you recognize this, you can use it to your advantage sincerely and strategically. One of the most effective ways to avoid overshadowing the master is by making them feel bigger, more important, and indispensable. For example, if you have a brilliant idea, instead of presenting it as something you came up with on your own, find a way to tie it to your superior's vision or influence. Use phrases like, building on what you suggested earlier, I thought of something that could complement your idea, or with your leadership, I believe this strategy has great potential to succeed. This not only prevents the master from feeling like you're trying to outshine them, but also positions you as a trustworthy and loyal ally. 2. Become a reflection of the master. People in power are often drawn to those who reflect their own qualities and values. By understanding your master's priorities, beliefs, and leadership style, you can tailor your approach to align with them. This doesn't mean blindly mimicking them, it's about demonstrating understanding in harmony with their ideas and goals. For example, if your boss values results above all else, focus on presenting practical, measurable solutions. If they prize loyalty, show that you're committed to their objectives and the team's success. This alignment creates a bond and diminishes any perception of you as a threat. 3. Learn to be underestimative. This might be one of the most counterintuitive, but incredibly effective strategies. Instead of constantly trying to prove how talented or capable you are, consider allowing yourself to be underestimated in certain moments. Being underestimated can be a powerful advantage because it lowers the perception of risk. Think of great strategists in history, like Julius Caesar, who rarely revealed his full strength until he was sure he could win. He understood that surprise was his greatest weapon in a modern context. This means being discreet about your potential until the right moment to shine. This doesn't mean hiding, it means being strategic. 4. Be generous with recognition. On a simple yet highly effective way to avoid overshadowing the master is to generously share the credit for your accomplishments. When you distribute praise to those above you, It fosters a sense of collaboration and respect. For instance, after successfully completing a project, say something like, "This achievement was only possible thanks to the guidance I received from our leader." Even if you were the driving force behind the success, giving credit to the master strengthens your position and minimizes any feelings of threat they might have. 5. Never expose the master. Protecting the master's image and ego is critical, even when they make mistakes. Exposing the flaws or weaknesses of someone at the top, whether publicly or privately, is one of the riskiest mistakes you can make. It not only damages the relationship, but also breeds resentment and distrust. If the master makes an error, find a subtle way to correct or mitigate it without directly pointing it out. Often, the solution lies in presenting an alternative or redirecting attention to something positive. Remember, the goal is not to correct the master, but to safeguard their reputation. Point 6. Identify the master's limits. Every master, no matter how powerful, has limits, weaknesses, or insecurities. Recognizing and respecting these boundaries is key to avoiding unnecessary conflicts. If you notice that the master is sensitive about a particular topic, avoid bringing it up or drawing attention to it. If they tend to react defensively to criticism, find ways to provide feedback that comes across as constructive rather than confrontational. This ability to read the room and adapt is what separates those who thrive from those who falter. 7. Offer value without stealing the spotlight. One of the most effective ways to avoid overshadowing the master is by providing value in a way that directly benefits them. When your actions help the master achieve their goals, you're seen as a valuable and indispensable asset rather than a competitor. For example, if you identify a problem or an opportunity, present a solution that directly supports the master or enhances their success. This positions you as a strategic ally rather than someone vying for the same recognition. Even with the best intentions, it's easy to make missteps that can be perceived as a threat to the ego or authority of those in power. Often, the problem isn't in your actions themselves, but in how they're interpreted by those at the top. That's why being able to identify the signs that you might inadvertently be overshadowing the master is crucial to avoiding conflicts and safeguarding your position. Navigating the dynamics of power isn't about diminishing yourself, it's about playing the long game. Offer value, build trust, and learn to shine in a way that amplifies, not threatens, the light of those above you. You're met with silence or distancing. One of the first signs that you might be overshadowing the master is noticing subtle distancing. If those above you start ignoring your ideas, avoid direct conversations, or show less enthusiasm for your work, this could be a red flag. Distancing isn't always explicit. It can manifest as short responses, a lack of public recognition, or even exclusion from important meetings. This happens because the master, even unconsciously, may be trying to limit your growth or influence. How to fix it? If you notice this behavior, it's time to adjust your approach, reinforce your support for their leadership, and show that your actions aim to strengthen the team and the master, not to compete with them. Demonstrate humility and include the master in important decisions, ensuring they feel valued. Your brilliance is drawing too much attention. Another clear sign that you might be overshadowing the master is when others start praising you more than the person in charge. While this might seem positive at first to the master, these compliments may feel like a direct threat, whether in meetings, presentations, or daily interactions. It's important to balance how you stand out. If your image starts to eclipse the master's in front of others, tension is inevitable. How to fix it? When you receive praise, redirect some of the credit to the master. Use phrases like, "This was only possible thanks to leader's name guidance." This simple gesture shows that you value and respect their role, reducing any potential discomfort. You're taking initiatives without consulting the master. While proactivity is a valued trait, acting autonomously without consulting or informing the master can be seen as insubordination or disrespect, even if your intention is to help. Initiatives that exclude the master may be perceived as attempts to bypass their authority. For example, implementing a new idea or making an important decision without first consulting the leader can give the impression that you don't see them as necessary or relevant. How to fix it? Before making any decisions that could impact the team or organization, consult the master. Make them feel part of the process, even if you already have the solution in mind. Use phrases like, "What do you think of this idea?" Or "I was thinking about this, but I'd like to hear your opinion before moving forward." This simple gesture strengthens the relationship and prevents conflicts. 4. You're challenging or correcting the master publicly. One of the quickest ways to create friction with those above you is to expose the master's flaws, errors, or contradictions in public. Even if your goal is to contribute or correct something, the way it's done can come across as a challenge. Imagine a meeting where the master presents an idea or strategy with flaws. If you immediately point out the error, even if you're right, the impact will be negative. Not only does it put the master in an uncomfortable position, but it can also harm your own reputation. How to fix it? If something needs correction, address it privately with tact and respect. Use phrases like, "I have a suggestion that might complement your idea. Can we discuss it later?" This approach protects the master's image and demonstrates your loyalty. 5. You're receiving indirect negative feedback when someone in a position of power feels overshadowed. It's common for discomfort to show through indirect criticism or feedback that feels out of context. Comments like, "You might be overdoing it a bit," or "It's important to remember we're a team," could indicate that the master feels threatened. This type of feedback can be confusing, especially if you believe you're simply doing your job. However, it should be seen as a warning to adjust your approach. How to fix it? If you receive such comments, avoid reacting defensively. Instead, show that you value the feedback and use the opportunity to reaffirm your commitment to the master's and the team's success. A response like, "I understand and I appreciate the feedback. I want to contribute in the best way possible to help us achieve our goals," can help diffuse any tension. 6. You're being excluded from projects or opportunities. A more serious sign that you might be overshadowing the master is being excluded from important projects or missing out on opportunities that were previously within your reach. This could indicate that the master is trying to limit your influence or slow down your growth. This exclusion may reflect a fear that you're becoming indispensable, or that your presence is drawing attention away from the master. How to fix it? If this happens, it's important not to confront the master directly. Instead, seek opportunities to show that you're committed to strengthening their leadership. Offer support in areas where they need help and demonstrate that you're aligned with their goals. Recognizing the signs that you might be overshadowing the master is important, but the real game changer lies in building a solid and lasting relationship of trust with those in power. By establishing this connection, you not only avoid tensions, but also create a foundation that facilitates your growth without raising suspicion or resistance. 1. Align with the master's goals. One of the pillars of a trusting relationship is aligning interests. People in positions of power have clear goals, whether they're personal growth, leadership, or organizational results. Showing that you're aligned with these objectives not only strengthens the relationship, but also proves that you're committed to contributing to the master's success. How to do this? Study the master's priorities, pay attention to the goals and challenges they mention in meetings or conversations, anticipate their needs whenever possible. Offer solutions or support to help them achieve these goals. Be explicit about your support. Use phrases like, "I'm here to help ensure we reach your goals this quarter." By aligning your actions with the master's priorities, you position yourself as a valuable partner rather than someone competing for the spotlight. To demonstrate consistent loyalty, trust is built over time, but can be destroyed in seconds. To create a strong relationship with the master, it's essential to demonstrate constant loyalty. This doesn't mean blindly agreeing with everything, but ensuring that your actions and words consistently reinforce your support and respect. Best practices to show loyalty. Protect the master's reputation. Never speak poorly of them. Even in informal conversations, word always gets around. Be discreet. Avoid sharing sensitive information or private discussions you've had with the master. Support them in tough times. It's easy to be loyal when everything is going well. However, during moments of crisis, your loyalty will truly be tested. Stand by their side and offer support when they need it most. 3. Make the master shinny. A powerful way to build trust with those in power is by finding ways to help them stand out. When you do this, you create a symbiotic relationship. The more they succeed, the more opportunities they can create for you to grow alongside them. How to make the master shine. Give them credit publicly. In meetings or presentations, acknowledge the impact of their leadership on the success of projects. Avoid stealing the spotlight. If you're responsible for a major achievement, frame it as a team victory under their leadership rather than solely your own. Help solve sensitive issues. If a situation arises that could harm the master, find ways to address or resolve the issue before they have to intervene. For to establish transparent and regular communication, common is one of the most underrated factors in building trust. Keeping the master informed about your progress, challenges, and successes fosters transparency and reduces suspicion. Practices to improve communication. Regular check-ins. Ask if they prefer frequent updates and provide concise reports on your activities. Seek feedback. Show that you value the master's opinion. As a way to subtly reaffirm your respectful position as a subordinate, use phrases like, "I'd like your input on how I can improve this project." Be clear about your intentions. When you do something to support the master, make it evident. Don't expect them to deduce your good intentions on their own. 5. Be a problem solver, not a problem creator. People in positions of power already have enough on their plates. If you're someone who brings more problems than solutions, you'll quickly be seen as an obstacle rather than an ally. On the other hand, becoming a reliable problem solver will significantly boost the master's trust in you. Practical tips. Think before escalating issues. Before bringing a problem to the master, come up with at least one potential solution. Maintain a positive attitude. Approach challenges with optimism, and avoid complaining or spreading negativity. Be proactive. Anticipate problems before they arise and propose solutions even before being asked. 6. Control your ego and be humble. One of the most common reasons relationships between subordinates and masters break down is ego. If you start acting as if you're equal to or superior to the master, even subtly, it can undermine trust and create tension. Demonstrating humility, on the other hand, reinforces your position as someone who respects the hierarchy. How to practice humility. Accept criticism without defensiveness. If the master points out a mistake you made, listen carefully and show that you're willing to learn. Avoid excessive self-promotion. Let your work speak for itself, and allow others to recognize your achievements rather than constantly highlighting them yourself. Show gratitude. Whenever the master provides guidance, support, or an opportunity, express genuine appreciation. 7. Invest in the relationship beyond formal settings. While most interactions between master and subordinate occur in the workplace, cultivating a more personal connection can help build trust. This doesn't mean invading the master's privacy, but rather finding common ground that humanizes the relationship. How to strengthen the personal relationship. Find shared interests. If the master has a specific hobby or interest, like sports, music, or reading, look for subtle ways to connect dots. Show empathy. Be attentive to moments when they might be facing personal or professional challenges and offer support when appropriate. Engage in social events. If there are opportunities for interaction outside of work, like company events or gatherings, participate actively. Applying the first law of power, never outshine the master, often comes with a common challenge. How to balance your ambition and desire for growth with respect for the authority of those above you. After all, Staying in the background can't be a permanent strategy. If you want to reach the top, you must find ways to thrive without disrespecting or threatening the established hierarchy. 1. Grow in the master's shadow. One of the most effective ways to develop is by using the master's leadership as a protective shadow. This means framing your growth as part of their success, showing that what you achieve is directly tied to their guidance. This approach ensures that your progress is seen as a positive reflection on the master rather than as a threat. How to grow in the master's shadow. Be the right-hand person. Volunteer to assist with critical tasks or major projects, making it clear that you're there to support them. Highlight the master's role in your success. When you achieve something significant, say things like, "This was only possible because of your support and guidance." Take on the role of executor. Help turn the master's ideas into reality by taking responsibility for tasks they can't or don't want to handle. This will make you indispensable. This approach shields you from conflict while allowing your skills to shine. To create a niche for yourself. Another way to grow without directly competing with the master is to find a niche or area of expertise. This means becoming an authority in a field that complements the master's strengths but doesn't directly overlap with them. How to create your own niche. Identify gaps. Look for areas where the master or organization may need support and position yourself as the expert who can fill that void. Choose a distinct skill or specialty. For example, if the master is known for strategic thinking, you could specialize in detailed execution. If they're highly technical, you could focus on translating those ideas into accessible language for others. Build your reputation discreetly. Work quietly to become a reference in this area. Without seeking immediate recognition, your value will naturally become evident over time. Creating a niche ensures you become indispensable without threatening the master's position. Point 3. Strengthen your network of relationships. While maintaining a strong relationship with the master is crucial, you should also work on building your own network of allies and supporters. This network can include colleagues, subordinates, and even other leaders inside or outside the organization. Having a solid circle of support is essential for your growth. How to strengthen your network without raising suspicions. Connect discreetly. Build relationships authentically and naturally, avoiding any impression that you're forming a power block against the master. Show loyalty to the master within your network. Ensure that everyone in your network sees you as a loyal ally to the leader. This protects your reputation and prevents misunderstandings. Offer value to others instead of immediately asking for help. Establish yourself as helpful and reliable within your network. Assist others in solving problems, and they'll be more willing to support you when you need it. A strong network creates future opportunities without undermining your current relationships. Use time to your advantage. Growing without disrupting the hierarchy requires patience. One of the biggest mistakes ambitious individuals make is trying to speed up the process, which almost always leads to conflict with those in power. True power is built over time through strategic and well-calculated moves. How to use time to your advantage. Think long-term. View your growth as a marathon, not a sprint. Plan your steps carefully. Wait for the right moment to shine. Not every opportunity should be seized immediately. Sometimes stepping back or letting someone else take the lead can be more beneficial in the long run. Prepare quietly. While waiting for the right moment, invest in learning, building skills, and strengthening connections. When the opportunity arises, you'll be ready to seize it. Strategic patience is one of the greatest virtues in the game of power. 5. Recognize when it's time to expand your influence. While the ideal scenario is to grow alongside the master, there may come a point where your paths must diverge. Recognizing when it's time to expand your influence and seek new opportunities is crucial to ensuring your ambition doesn't remain indefinitely constrained. However, this must be done with care and respect. How to expand your influence without creating conflict. Seek the master's blessing. If you decide to pursue a new position or opportunity, involve the master in the process. Show them that you value their opinion and support. Leave on a positive note when you move on. Ensure that your relationship with the master remains positive. This not only preserves your reputation, but can also open doors in the future. Maintain contact. Even after leaving, keep communication with the master alive. This demonstrates respect and strengthens your network over time. Expanding your influence strategically and respectfully ensures you continue to grow without jeopardizing what you've already built. Throughout this video, we've explored the dangers of overshadowing the master, strategies to avoid this trap, warning signs, and ways to grow without disrupting the hierarchy. Now, it's time to consolidate these lessons and bring them into daily practice, whether in the workplace, social settings, or even personal relationships. After all, power and hierarchy dynamics are present in every aspect of life, and knowing how to navigate them is an essential skill for success. 1. Read the room before acting. Foundation of any power strategy is the ability to analyze the context and understand the dynamics between the people around you. Often, the mistake of overshadowing the master doesn't stem from arrogance, but from a lack of awareness. Before acting, it's essential to carefully assess the environment you're in. How to do this in practice: observe behaviors, pay attention to how people interact with the master. Who does the master respect? What behaviors make them uncomfortable? Understand the master's priorities. Figure out what matters most to them, whether it's security, status, control, or something else. Notice subtle cues, feedback, mood changes, or unusual behaviors can indicate how your actions are being perceived. The more aware you are of your surroundings, the less likely you are to make mistakes that could be interpreted as threats. 2. Control your emotions and impulses. One of the biggest traps when dealing with hierarchy is letting ego or momentary emotions dictate your actions. Frustration, the need for recognition, or the urge to prove yourself can drive impulsive behavior, which almost always leads to trouble. Strategies for emotional control: take a breath before acting. If you feel the urge to respond immediately to something, take a step back. Reflect before reacting. Avoid direct competition. Don't try to prove you're right or better than the master in public. Even if you are, the cost of doing so can be high. Practice patience. Understand that your recognition will come in due time, and rushing things can jeopardize everything. Emotional control is a sign of maturity and shows that you know how to play the power game intelligently. 3. Be politically skilled. Being politically skilled doesn't mean being manipulative or dishonest. It means understanding how to interact with different people strategically, always aiming to strengthen relationships and avoid unnecessary conflicts. How to be politically skilled: balance authenticity and strategy. Be genuine, but mindful of what you share. Not everything needs to be said. Build alliances beyond the master. Strengthen ties with other key figures in the hierarchy. Avoid gossip and drama. Never engage in negative conversations about the master or colleagues. This harms your reputation and can come back to haunt you. Political skill helps you navigate power dynamics with confidence and efficiency. 4. Protect the master's image regardless of how you feel about the master. It's crucial to safeguard their image both publicly and privately. This reinforces your loyalty and ensures you're not seen as a threat. Ways to protect the master: defend them when needed. If someone criticizes or undermines the master, remain neutral or subtly defend them. Avoid public contradictions. Don't expose the master's errors or weaknesses in front of others. If necessary, address these issues privately. Highlight their strengths in conversations. Emphasize the master's positive contributions. This boosts both their reputation and yours. Protecting the master's image also safeguards your own position within the hierarchy. 5. Know when to shine and when to step back. Applying the first law of power doesn't mean you can never stand out. It means you need to know when it's safe to shine and when to step back to avoid conflict. How to strike the balance: share the spotlight when receiving praise or recognition. Redirect some of the credit to the master or the team. Wait for the right moment before highlighting your achievements. Assess whether the environment is favorable or if it could be perceived as a threat. Stepping back is strategic too. If you notice you drawing too much attention, take a step back and let the focus return to the master. Knowing how to control your shine demonstrates maturity and social intelligence. 6. Apply the law in other areas of life. While this discussion focuses on the professional environment, the first law of power can also be applied in other areas of life, whether in friendships, family dynamics, or social circles. The principle of not overshadowing those in positions of leadership or prominence remains relevant. Practical examples: personal relationships. If someone close to you has a leadership role in a group or project, support them instead of competing for recognition. Social circles. When interacting with friends, avoid stealing the spotlight or trying to outshine those who are naturally more influential in the group. Family and family dynamics. Respect authority figures like parents or older relatives and avoid openly challenging them, even if you disagree. Applying this law across different contexts strengthens your ability to navigate human relationships strategically. 7. Adapt the law to your ambitions funnily. Remember that the first law of power isn't about suppressing your ambition or talent. It's about using them wisely. Recognize that respecting hierarchies is part of the path to success, not an obstacle. How to adapt the law to your goals. Be strategic in your growth. Find ways to advance without threatening those at the top. Think long-term. Build alliances and a solid reputation while patiently working toward your goals. Stay authentic. Applying the law doesn't mean losing who you are. It's about being smart with how and when you display your abilities. The first law of power, never outshine the master, is a timeless lesson that remains relevant in all aspects of life. It teaches us that success isn't just about talent or effort, but also about strategic intelligence and social skill. By understanding the ego and insecurities of those in superior positions, you can avoid mistakes that hinder your journey. And by applying the strategies outlined in this guide, you can stand out and grow steadily without creating unnecessary resistance. Remember, power is a long game. Knowing how to play it with subtlety and respect is what separates the winners from those who fail. Now it's up to you to put these lessons into practice and transform your approach to hierarchies.